What's going on, everyone? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD video. So today I want to discuss the differences, or I guess compare the Man of War as well as the ODEN, since they are very similar weapons. So keep in mind that both of these are slow firing assault rifles, really meant for medium to long range engagements, since they are, like I said, slow and extremely powerful. The question is, of course, which one is actually the better option? Because, I mean, for all this time, we've been using the Man of War mainly because there is no other slow firing assault rifle. There was a time where it was actually meta for, I guess, quite a bit, but it's been a long time since this thing has ever really been improved. Recently, it did receive some sort of ADS bullet spread buff, but that's pretty much it. The range was increased eventually later on down the line, because they kind of over nerfed it to the point where it was only a 3-shot if you were like hugging the person. But of course they did increase the range a lot more, and thankfully it's pretty much perfect the way it is. So while it's not really the meta right now, I mean, it does have a lot of potential to be the meta, since it does have a pretty good 3-shot kill range. And I'm not talking about 3-shot kills if you land like a few shots to the head. I'm talking about 3 shots to the body, and that's it. The only weapons I think of that do have this is the SKS, the Man of War, and the ODEN. Of course, like I said, it's... well, also the PKM. I forgot to mention that one as well, but of course we're focusing on 2 weapons that are extremely similar to one another. So this weapon kind of works both ways, in the sense that you could actually say that, this is the Black Ops version of the ODEN, or the ODEN is the Modern Warfare version of the Black Ops, the Modern Warfare version of the Man of War. So first off, let's talk about range differences. So the range for the Man of War doesn't really extend that far, at least if you're not using any sort of attachment that does increase your range. For the most part, it would only go up to like maybe 10 meters at best, and from there the range will drop off into a 4-shot kill. It does change if you do hit in the head at least once or twice, but for the most part you're not going to be getting a 3-shot kill from a long range unless you have something that extends the the base range. Let's say a Ranger barrel, a Colossus suppressor, or maybe even a Marksman barrel. But when adding any of those attachments, it can be a much more consistent 3-shot from longer ranges. But the downside is, while doing this, you miss out on a lot of speed. And the Ranger barrel, yes, it's a little merciful, but if you want to use the Marksman barrel for more stability in longer ranges, I mean, yeah, it will help you, but at the same time, it will slow you down in an incredible rate. Especially if you use the Colossus suppressor that increases your range by 40%. You do get that benefit, but at the same time, you lose out on 22% ADS speed. But keep in mind though, the stability improvements that you do get from these barrels are pretty significant. I think the Colossus suppressor used to have that actual benefit, but then they removed it because it was considered too overpowered. So they took off that benefit, so now it just gives you a range boost. Also, in terms of ammo capacity, it does start at 25. It used to be 30, but now it's at 25. And you could improve it from 30 bullets to 35 bullets, depending on how much you actually want. That's something that the Man of War does have over the ODEN. And one last thing to factor in on, I guess, the lethality of this weapon is the fact that it doesn't really rely on bullet speed, since it's more of a hit scan type of weapon. So bullet velocity doesn't really impact this weapon at all. So now moving on to the more recent weapon, which is the ODEN itself. This one does have some qualities that may trump the Man of War a bit more. So the reason why I say that is because while this is also a 3-shot weapon, it also has the potential to become a 2-shot weapon. Depending on how close you are to the enemy, depending on what you actually have on your weapon in terms of barrel attachments, you could actually score 2 shots from a pretty decent range. And, it does drop off a little bit, but so long as you hit in the head, which is a very important thing for this weapon, specifically because the maximum damage to the head is like 72, so that's a huge amount for a weapon like this. Shooting in the body does help as well, but if you manage to hit in the arms, you're gonna get a 3-shot kill, unless you hit the other shot in the head miraculously. In terms of ammo capacity, it's a little bit less than the Man of War in that it only gives you up to 30 at max. So the starting amount of ammo that you do get is 20. You could increase it to 25, but you could also increase it to 30 at the cost of a huge amount of movement speed. There are two other mag attachments that you can use, one that splits a bullet up into two, and another one that increases your range and also gives you a silencer effect, but with the massive cost of bullet speed. So I'm not really going to mention that, when I'm comparing these two, since, I mean, they're not really going to help the weapon. I want to, talk about them when they're at their best. So that's one thing about the Odin that does, become a huge problem, especially in medium to long ranges, is the bullet speed. So unlike the Man of War where it's just hit scan, this one actually does focus on bullet speed. It may not make much of a huge deal if you're close to the person, like what you're seeing right now, but if you're trying to shoot someone at a medium to long range, it is going to be much, much harder. I did discuss on the gold, or I guess the platinum video for this weapon, that the long shots are the biggest challenge for this weapon. Even though it does have high damage, it's still a challenge nonetheless. And that's something that the Man of War does have over the Odin, that you could get long shots a lot more easily with that weapon compared to this one. But there is another factor as to why I believe this weapon may be superior to the Man of War, and that's mainly because the 3-shot kill range is pretty much infinite compared to the Man of War, where even if you have the Colossus suppressor or the marksman barrel, or even together, it's going to eventually drop off, and that's something that the Odin just does not do. Really, in a way, both of those things kind of like cancel each other out, because yes, you don't have bullet speed with the Man of War, and you can land shots a lot easier, but the range is also going to drop off pretty easily. But the thing is that you can hit your targets a lot faster, and that's something that the Odin does kind of suffer, because if you're trying to shoot someone from long range, there might be a guarantee you might not actually land that shot because of how slow the bullet speed is. And like I said before, you cannot improve it in any way. So you might have the same possible outcome in terms of time to kill, even if you have higher damage at longer ranges with the Odin. The truth is that both of these weapons do have some massive downsides when you're trying to kill someone at longer ranges. One has bullet speed and the other one has a range drop off. So I think the time to kill should be around a similar time. But I think probably the most defining factor as to why I think the Odin might be the better weapon is its overall speed. So you would expect a weapon like this to be extremely heavy, but that's really not the case, because you could set this up to be a lot lighter than the Man of War and still keep your infinite 3-shot range. Like I said, no matter where you shoot, it's always going to be 3 shots. So there's no actual need to put a ranger or a marksman barrel or even a Colossus suppressor on the weapon unless you want to kill, or I guess 2-shot from a longer range. And like I said, so long as you land a headshot in a long range, you could still score a 2-shot. So the thing is that not everyone's going to be extremely accurate, right? You're not always going to get 2 shots every time. It's something that it does take a little bit of skill. So for me personally, I usually aim for the 3-shot. I mean, if I do get a 2-shot, it does happen. But keep in mind, it's not always going to happen. So that's why I didn't bother to add all these marksman barrel attachments on this weapon. And even in close range, like I said, it does have that 2-shot potential. So if you're going against someone with a Man of War, you're most likely going to win if you land like 2 body shots or even a headshot. Like, it's pretty much game over. But yeah, all in all, I believe the Odin is the much more superior option, at least when it comes to medium range maps. If it's a longer range, I do suggest using the Man of War, but overall, I believe the Odin is probably the much better option. But anyways, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.